All right, well, it's Wednesday evening at Biloxi Bicycle Works, and usually I'm on a shop ride. Well, I started the shop ride and had to break out early. Usually I'm hardly ever that guy that has to break out early, has a mechanical. I usually keep my stuff in very good shape, but this is the first failure with my SRAM rival. It's easily diagnosed. This is user error. I have such good luck with the SRAM products. Not only the acoustic products I've been using for years, but now that the electronic shifting has emerged as a bicycle mechanic, as a bicycle rider, SRAM is very solid. Like, I don't have problems with SRAM equipment. I can't say never, but it's rare that I have a problem with, especially this Explorer group set. Rather it be the Rival, the Red, or the Force. This is the Rival. It's in their mid-tier. But let me tell you what happened here. Today was a busy day at Biloxi Bicycle Works. We're low staff, so I was running around this place by myself half the day in the showroom, fixing bikes, helping customers. And I had a customer pop in and their battery was dead. So when I say battery, if you're not familiar, there's a little battery on the back of the SRAM unit. That's your battery right there. It's normally good for 17,000 shifts, 3 to 4 months of riding without having to recharge this thing. So I set a little reminder on my phone once a month to charge my batteries. And I'm hardly ever without well, this is the first time it's ever went dead. Well, let me tell you what happened. I had a customer come in today while I was running around the shop with my head cut off, like a chicken with his head cut off. And he said his battery was dead. And I said, hey, no problem. Just go grab mine. They're universal. That work, like this same battery can work on my mountain bike, work on my road bike. And I said, just grab my battery out of my gravel bike and pop it in. You'll be fine. Finish your ride and I'll charge mine up. Well, the day went on and I never did charge mine back up. So about halfway through the ride, I was stuck in a very tall gear. I'd like to talk about single speed here in a moment. And wow, how that changes the game for your legs, your knees, your chain, your drivetrain. I just had experience because I'd go up and over the Biloxi Bay Bridge in a much harder gear than I normally go, and I felt it in my legs, and I feel my feet are fatigued, and I don't know if single speed is good for a 55-year-old that's not a real big guy. Well, I was just pushing too big of a gear. But back to this. That's the reason I ended up with a dead battery. Now, there's several ways that you can avoid that. One is to put, hook the SRAM up to your head unit, your Garmin, your Wahoo, whatever, and there's a prompt on there that tells you your battery life. There's also an app on your phone. The SRAM app tells you your battery life, well, not your battery life, but battery status on your rear derailleur. And also there's a little CR32 coin battery up in the shifters. Now those normally last about 2 years. So it's an easy way to go before you go on a ride, just like you're checking your tire pressure, check what your battery level is. There's a lot of people that come into my shop and they think electronic shifting is so complicated and so finicky, it's not something that they want to entertain. But I'm here to tell you, as a guy that sells a lot of bikes, as a guy that's a bicycle mechanic, and a guy that's also a rider, so I'm out there with my public. SRAM, the electronic shifting is very good. Both SRAM and Shimano. Now, I've seen some aftermarket stuff that's a little iffy. I won't sell it out of my shop, and I've seen people on the trail with problems. I've seen people that bought some stuff AliExpress or Alibaba, whatever that is, and they say everything's working fine, but I don't see those guys riding with us very often, so I don't know the longevity of that stuff. But I do know that the SRAM Explorer series, or if you look over on my mountain bike, here's an Access T-Type XO. And once again, it's the very same battery, so I could take this battery right out of my mountain bike and pop it into my, pop it straight into my gravel bike and be fine, or my road bike. Now on my road bike, I have a front derailleur. It has a battery as well, and usually you're doing a lot more shifting with the rear than you do the front derailleur. So there's been times when I've taken my front battery out to give to somebody. And really, I tell my customers, if you can't remember to charge your battery once every 3 months, well, then don't blame the product. That's on you. There's a lot of good things when it comes to electronic shifting. I like how it can self-trim. It finds gears very good. Nowadays, there's not even a B adjustment or a limit adjustment. And I do see a lot of people that play with their adjustments on their derailleurs, and then they wonder why their chains are falling off, or they come into the shop and they say, look, I was just twisting on this knob a little bit, and they don't realize that you drop a chain off the back side of your cassette and it can grind if you don't have the dork ring on there, that's that plastic ring everybody asked me to take off, but if you don't have that on there, it can grind your spokes down. And if it drops off of your little gear here, it can get caught in between your frame and cause frame damage. I've seen both of those multiple times. So with this electronic shifting, you set it up with an app on your phone. If you don't believe in the apps, your bicycle mechanic can do it. You set it and forget it. But like I said, there's several ways that you could check your battery life, not only in your derailleur where the brain is, but also up in your shifters. I really enjoy electronic shifting. I was a mechanic for a gravel race a while back, and it was definitely a mud race. The people who had electronic shifting weren't having problems. The people that had cables had a lot of problems. I've been around for a long time, so I believe in cables. I buy bikes with cables, but when I have the chance, electronic shifting is great. I love selling electronic shifting to customers who don't understand shifting. It helps that process so much more. And of course, you hear me talk about SRAM, but believe me, the Shimano Di2 stuff is very, very nice as well. There's a road bike that I was riding, a Madone Gen 8. It had the 105 Di2, and it was very, very nice. Now, I've ridden, of course, the Ultegra and the Dura Ace, and wow, that Dura Ace Di2 is it's amazing. I'm a SRAM guy, or Shimano, kind of whatever comes on my bike, I'll ride. I do get to ride a lot of different bikes, test ride bikes every day as a mechanic. I'm always out there test riding something. But let me just tell you that this was my fault. It's not often when, a dead battery kills a ride. Hey, this is a good question for someone that might know. I was wondering, is there a default setting on this SRAM Explorer? So if I ever run into that problem, or a customer does and no one has a spare battery, these batteries are light. I might even start carrying one in my bag. But if I wanted to put it in a lower gear, but as soon as I did, my derailleur moved straight back to the position that it was left in. So is there, as a bicycle mechanic, I need to know this, especially someone that's out there on the ride trying to do trail fixes. I didn't want to be in this real stout gear. I would have rather been in an easy spinning gear, especially coming up the bridge. Is there a way to manually set this into a different gear and have it stay, and also not cause any problems with the internal servos? I know I could break the chain and wrap it around and make a single speed, so there's ways you can make it happen. But I had 5 miles to ride back to the shop, so I wasn't worried about if I had to walk. It wouldn't have been a big deal. But hey, let me tell you a quick story about SRAM. This was actually the Apex. It was Explorer Apex electronic shifting, and I won't go into the details of why this happened. One of my customers' bikes got thrown into Biloxi Bay, which is I think right now the salinity is like 14 parts to 1. So it's a very salt water situation. He didn't find out about it for about 24 hours. So he called me up at the shop and he said, "Hey Bart, my bike's at the bottom of the bay. Do you think you could go try to fish it out for me and see if it's ruined?" And I said, "Well, man, that salt water is going to eat up everything. But yeah, sure, to give you peace of mind, you're out of town, you're worried about your bike." I went and found his bike in Biloxi Bay and pulled it out of there, brought it back to the shop, dried it out, blowed it out, lubricated the pivots in it, let it sit for a couple days, and charged the battery and put a battery in it, and it worked, and it's still working. Now, we're having to replace his bottom bracket and some other stuff, but as far as electronic shifting, after being in Biloxi Bay, submerged in about 6 feet of water, so not deep submersion, but enough that it would probably ruin most things, that SRAM Electronic Shifting Explorer is still working to this day, and that happened right around Christmas time. So I don't suggest to go throw your bike in the salt water at all. Salt water ruins everything, but so far that shifting is still working on that customer's bike. So if that's a testament to the SRAM electronic shifting, I know it is to me, as a bike mechanic, and it's a story I don't often tell because a lot of people around here know this guy, and maybe the reason why his bike ended up in the bay. But just a personal story about the actual equipment, and not the guy. Anyway, guys, it's been kind of a long day at the shop. Maybe I was meant to finish up a little bit early. I'm gonna try to get home and get some rest because tomorrow's Thursday in the shop. I also have some meetings with the Biloxi Businessmen tomorrow. Right here, that's an awesome club that I'm proud to be part of. So here's my problem right here: a dead battery that a customer dropped off to me. That's what you do as a bike shop owner. You jump in and you try to help out. It's just there was too much going on in my brain, and I forgot to actually charge my bike. So user error and not product error. I'll take that any day. At least you know what the problem is. So anyway, tell all my friends that saw me coming home with my tail between my legs. That's my story for the night. Dead battery. I'll charge this thing up and this will be ready to ride tomorrow. Bart from Bike Rider YouTube. Little story about electronic shifting. Right here from Biloxi Bicycle Works. Thanks for hanging with me.